Hi, this is Steve with Xennsoft, and in our last video I showed you how to add new or existing customers or distributors into the system through WorldVu. And in this video I'm going to show you how to import an existing customer base into the system using a CSV file format. So this way, if you have dozens or hundreds or even thousands of existing customers and distributors, you'll be able to import those into the system without having to manually enter each one. So let's go through those steps. The first thing to do is to notify Xennsoft that you wish to import your existing client file. So you can do this by simply submitting a ticket. Once we receive your ticket, we will then be able to activate your program so it will accept that import. So if you've already done that and received notification that your system is activated, then you'll be ready to continue with these following steps. So first of all, we'll go to Systems and find Import Export. If you're not able to locate this Import Export under Systems, then your program has still not been activated to accept this feature. Once it is, the first thing you're going to do is go to Export. So scroll over that and we'll click on Export. Now this will allow us to export a CSV file that then provides us the correct format, so the file will be accepted when you re-import it. So under Entity Type, you want to make sure that you select Customers. The export file format will be CSV, and there's nothing else to do on this page other than scroll to the very bottom, and in the bottom right-hand corner, click Continue. This will export the file into a spreadsheet. So let me show you what that will look like. So this is an actual spreadsheet that I exported. And as you can see, I have about 9 customers in here. These are customers I added in through WorldVu prior to exporting this file. So if you haven't added any clients through WorldVu, the only one you're going to have is this very top one, which is top of the tree. Now the reason it was so important to export this file was to give us access to the headers along the top here for each of the different columns. This is a list of all of the attributes and fields that you can fill in. So this gives you a very simple way to take your existing spreadsheet and either take these headers and add them to your sheet, or to copy the different columns from your spreadsheet and paste them into this one, which is probably what I would recommend you do. Now the good news is that you don't need to have information in all of these columns. And most of them can either be left blank or you can actually delete the entire column from the spreadsheet. So let's walk through that, and you may want to take some notes so that you know which columns are mandatory, what should be in those columns, and the ones that are optional and that you can delete. Now these aren't in any particular order, and I don't know why they're listed in the order that they are, but we're starting out with the customer's email. Now one of the first things to note as we get started is that you want to leave the very first line, which is client top of the tree, with this email address client@example.com. Please do not delete that and leave that in here. Everything below this line are distributors or customers that I added previously. So again, make sure this line number 2 does not get changed and it stays exactly as it is. So the email address is pretty simple. Column B and C, website and store, are the only 2 columns that are mandatory. And under website, you'll want it to say base for each customer. Under store, you're going to want it to say default. So take note of those 2 mandatory fields. Now confirmation is blank and you can leave it that way. To simplify things, I'm going to actually take some of these out. So let's delete this column altogether. Then we have the time this was created and where it was created. Because I entered these customers through WorldVu, it's showing that they were entered in the admin site, which is correct. But both of these 2 columns can be deleted along with the following column. So let's take these 3 out, just trying to simplify things as much as possible for you. Then we have date of birth. You do not have to enter a date of birth, but if you do, it needs to be in the format of year, month, day, with a 4-digit year, 2-digit month, and a 2-digit day. And you definitely don't need to have a time in here. So I could put in 1985 in January on the 20th, and that would work just fine. So if you have an existing column in your spreadsheet with everyone's date of birth, you can just copy, paste that in here. Then we have the customer's Facebook URL. That's a column that can be deleted. Customer's first name is obviously one that you're going to want to fill in. Force active definitely can be taken out. Force active begin date we can also delete, and the end date, along with the force active value. Okay, then we have gender, and this is an optional field as well. If you have that information, great. If not, you can take it out. Google URL, you can leave in or take out. We'll delete it. Now, group ID is one you want to take note of. 4 indicates that this is a distributor, and 3 indicates that they are a customer. So if you have a database of all your distributors and a separate database of all your customers, something like that, you can list out the distributors first, enter in a 4 for all the distributors, and the same thing for the customers, entering a 3 in this column for the customers. Then we have the customer's last name. LinkedIn URL, I'm going to take that out. You can leave or delete middle initial. Overrank, I won't go into detail of explaining all of these columns, but this is basically asking if you want to override the qualifications for a particular rank for this distributor. Most likely the answer would be no, and the next several columns all have to do with that as well. So I'm going to take out everything from overrank, overrank level, all the way to this column, the override just before the password hash, and delete all of those. Okay, and let's scroll this back over. The password hash you're not going to have, so let's delete that column, and we'll delete the Pinterest URL column as well. Okay, the prefix, if you're using something like Mr. or Mrs., we'll take that out. Then we have public email, name, and phone. And this is what would show up as the sponsor information. So you can allow each distributor to enter that on their own. And again, if you've already captured that information, you can transfer it from your spreadsheet to this spreadsheet. Then we have the public picture with the JPEG. Each distributor is going to have to upload that on their own, so we're going to take that out. Okay, the rank. If you've already established your rank names in WorldVu, then this information be transferred over. So hopefully you can just copy and paste that in here. The reset password token, we don't need either of these 2 columns. Store ID is not a mandatory column, but it wouldn't be a bad idea to leave that in here as a 1 for all distributors and customers. Okay, suffix, if you have that as part of the name. Tax ID number or VAT number for the United Kingdom, if you have that, you can use this field. If not, you can delete it. You're not going to terminate any of your distributors, so you can leave that as no, or you can just take this out. It's going to default to no anyway. Twitter URL, we'll delete that for the time. Username, hopefully you have a username for each of your distributors, as well as a password over here. Website is a good idea to leave that in, along with the store ID as 1. We'll take out the YouTube URL. Then we have the customer city. Company address is probably something you can take out. The country, US for United States. If you have customer fax numbers, you can leave that in. Address first name and address last name is for shipping information. And you have the address middle initial if you want to keep that. And we'll scroll over a little bit. Okay, then we have the zip code and the 4-digit code. The region, which is the state, and the actual street address. You can take out the suffix. Then you have the customer's phone number. Address VAT ID will be just for United Kingdom. And the very last 2 columns are the address default billing and address default shipping. 1 is for yes. So if you leave these 2 columns in and mark each one with a 1, it'll take the address we previously entered and use that for default billing and shipping. It just makes it quicker for a distributor and customer when they're checking out, so they don't have to retype that information in again. Okay, so that's all the columns. So it's a long list, but you're able to narrow it down, shorten it, take things out. It makes it really easy and convenient to just copy, paste the information in. And again, the only two columns that are absolutely mandatory are the website and store. Of course, you're going to definitely want to have the customer's first name, last name, things like email address, phone number, and some of the critical information. But don't worry about fields that are left blank, or if you don't have all the information for all of the different customers, you can just enter what you have. So from here, you'll go ahead and save this document, this spreadsheet, in a CSV format. Okay, and once you've done that, back on WorldVu, you can go back over Systems, go to Import Export, and this time you're going to scroll over Import. You'll change the entity type to Customers. In Import Behavior, we're going to select Replace Existing Complex Data. And from here, you're going to choose the file. Okay, then in the upper right-hand corner, we have Check Data. And hopefully, when you do this, it's going to say File is valid. If you get any kind of an error message that pops up in this section, such as check DOB, date of birth, you just need to go back to your spreadsheet, look at the data that's in that field. For example, with date of birth, if you didn't put the year in first, it's not going to accept it. So it'll tell you any fields that you need to adjust. Once you get it to the point that the file is valid, you can go ahead and import that. And it tells us the import was successfully done. So when we go to Customers, Manage Customers, we'll have a complete list of all of the information that you just imported. So this will save you a lot of time in entering your customer information, and then any new distributors or customers will sign up directly through the website. So again, thanks for watching.